Good evening, everybody. I'm Gregory Ciano, and we're in Noir Studios. I'm the team lead on this project, and also part of the web design. A few of our people, a few of our team members here. We have. Go ahead.
Hey, I'm Chris Brusnick. I worked on the web design and development, and some of the audio assets for the animation that we'll be talking about.
My name is Joseph Pierpont. I worked on the audio for the project as well as the video editing, some of the 3D models, the props in the 3D animation.
Hi, my name is Kanado, and I'm responsible for the visual components and the website background image and some of the merchandise items that you'll see in this presentation.
My name is Eric Russick. I made the 3D models, I did the rigging and the animation of the main animation, and I did the lighting for the animation.
My name is Anissa Pai. I was actually working with Pinal with the graphics, and I am also the advertiser for Noir Studios.
Okay, so our project, since we are animation, web, and graphic design guys and ladies, what we did was we created an animated web series with a website that will be a companion to that web series, and also a lot of marketing to promote the series either in the real world or online. We met in class once a week. Beginning of class, we always sat down, talked about what we needed to talk about, figure out where we are, what needed to be done. We also did that on Skype 2 times a week, Fridays and Mondays, 7 o'clock, same time, just to kind of keep on top of it, making sure there was no problems. If anybody had any issues, it could be addressed immediately. And now I'm going to turn it over to Eric, who's going to talk about animation.
So for this project, I used a program called 3ds Max, and we animated with 3D models the whole series. We first started with a script, of course. During the first senior project one, we went over a script that we thought we would be able to do in the time given to animate a good trailer, about 30-second to 45-second trailer, and we worked with it from there on out. We moved some things around here and there, but in the end, we got it done.
Hi, so for the very beginning of this project, we received a huge advantage with the development of our characters very quickly, so that animation could proceed right away. And for the characters I have on the screen, they are very similar in appearance. I wanted to keep the characters in a 2D. They have a 2D appearance, and I did it that way because we wanted to keep the merchandise items and everything else. The promotional banner is very 2D and looking. Pass it on to myself. For the social media aspects, I created, as you can see on the screen, a Twitter background image as well as a Facebook cover, and likewise we kept the design very 2D in appearance because we wanted the merchandise and the imagery to be 2D for promotional stuff, while keeping the animation itself 3D. And now I am going to pass it over to Eric, who will be telling you about the development of the animation.
So, when you're making an animation like this, you get concept art from someone like Kana, and you make a plane with it, and you have to develop the characters. It's a very long process, but we had 2 characters. As you can see, that was one during the development process, and then you start with the base model, create the character, and you do other things separately. The hair is separate, the nose is separate, and you attach them all together to make one coherent object. Then afterwards, we do what we call rigging, where you make joints or bones, just like you would in the human anatomy, and you attach the body that you created as a 3D model to those bones, so you can add real movement to them. We also used a company called Maximo. They helped with the rigging process. They make the joints for you, and then you go from there in the rigging process of animation and development. The big thing then is, just like you would on a 2D plane, there's these things called keyframes where you stop the movement at a certain point and move to a secondary movement. You go through that 1,000 times and you got a cinematic. Then you morph the faces so that they can blink, they can move their mouths, so on and so forth. And then finally, when you're done and you're happy with your product, you render it out, making it so that there are textures, bumps, and you can really see yourself inside of the animation, and it makes it feel as real as possible to the viewer. Joe?
For this project, I did the rigging of the Ghost. The actual model was made by Eric, but I made the boning structure for it. I wanted to make him seem like he was a little more spooky than just the average ghost, but at the same time comical. So we thought of the idea of giving him like Groucho glasses, just to show his goofy side. But on top of this character, it was very difficult because he wasn't an actual human being, he was just a blob. So it was difficult to actually put bones into a blob type character. For the environment, I made all of the props and such, like the oil drums, the piece of wood, the pallets, the crates, the pipe on top. All of that was made in Maya. It was a program that I was learning at the start of this session, and I decided to stick with it. The textures were made by, or were found by Eric as well. All I really had to do was for the oil drums, I used basic shapes like the cylinder. I just made it a long cylinder and then chopped little pieces into it to make it look like more of a barrel. Same thing with crates. Just all of this was used. All I used was basic shapes to make this empty warehouse into a very spacious or a very object-oriented warehouse. For this project, I also did the audio. I used Audacity to record all of our voices, as well as using some of the sound files I found on freesounds.org to make the warehouse what it is now, such as the spooky effects that you'll hear in the video as we'll bring it up later. And for our voices, I had to add a little bit of an echo to make it seem like we're actually inside of a really big warehouse. Because if we just didn't add that effect, it would sound like you were talking how I am right now, just regularly. The theme song as well was made by Chris at the very beginning. And the characters' voices are myself and now Eric. And I'm going to pass it over to Chris.
Hi. So when we were starting out for the website development, we wanted to consider the topic and the audience who would be viewing the website, and we designed some early website assets based off of that data, and we figured we would probably market the website towards around age 10 up, that kind of age range. So we wanted to make something colorful, something interesting, dynamic. So essentially I compiled a early style guide, which looked like this. Shows different fonts and link colors and background colors and just general design assets that I would be using. For actually developing the website, I used HTML5 for the basic structure, CSS3 for the designing of that basic structure, making it look nice. JavaScript for the dynamic elements, which you'll see in the demo. jQuery also for that. PHP for the contact form, so that it would work online. And the program that I used these different kinds of code in was a Dreamweaver CS5. It's a bit of a natural fit for me. It's a program I've been using ever since I started here at DeVry, and I feel really comfortable with it, and it can pretty much accomplish anything I'm looking to do with it. For the graphics and other things that I needed to do that maybe couldn't get to, I used Photoshop CS5, but there's only a couple things where I really needed to use it. So the design itself, we decided we wanted to have a large background with objects on it, which you navigate the site using. It's almost as if you're looking at a landscape and you see a place on that landscape and you say, I want to go to that. So you click on it and it zooms in. So according to that kind of structure, I created some wireframes. Essentially, week 1 of development, that basic structure came into shape. The about, guide, and contact sections saw some development in the first couple weeks. Some rough versions of the site were structured in week 3. This is when the site started to take shape and the functionality was introduced, although there were some initial issues with that. We did work them out later. I also originally wanted to have a small MP3 player at the top, which it's just a play button that would turn into a pause button when you click on it. And that's just optional to give you some ambience, to kind of bring the landscape itself to life, of sorts. And that was going to be in the header. So I had started that. The guide section, which would actually link also to the character bios and episode list sections, was structured that week as well. You'll see more about that. At this point, at about week 4 or 5, some CSS3 animations were introduced to the site structure. Essentially, this would entail things like hover animations and things like that. You would run your cursor over certain links, and they would have like a transition, just to kind of make things interesting, I guess. And as each week passed, all the sites were cleaned, or all the pages, I'm sorry, were cleaned up a bit more. Just pass it over to you now for some of the design elements of the website.
For the development of the website background and visual components, we had agreed as a group that we would like to incorporate some of the horror movie and mystery movie genres, the elements seen in those movies, into our own website. And we did so by including such items as the mansion, an abandoned shack, a lonely highway, and some shadows. Overall, the website visual components as well as the website background image underwent some changes, and it was changed from the gloomy setting you saw before in some of the previous slides to this. This is the final version of the website background image and the components on it. All of these were produced in Photoshop, and I used my bamboo tablet and stylus to create these images you see here.
So my portion of this was working on our e-store, and we created this using Joomla. I went this way because e-commerce has a lot of moving parts. We needed something that was already put together, but that could be manipulated and worked any way that we wanted. I'm familiar with Joomla. I use it every day at my workplace, so I knew the ins and outs. I went that way as opposed to WordPress. But Joomla also has a lot of components, and a lot of these components are free. So that was a good. That was just something we thought was a good idea to go that way. Less money having to be spent. So basically what I did was I downloaded Joomla into a folder called Store. This way we could keep our URL, noirstudiostv.com/store, as opposed to it just being noirstudio.com. I kept it all together, kept the website as one thing as opposed to a whole other entity. Found a component on Joomla. They have a whole listing. It's a component called A Shop. It's a free Joomla component, and it had a nice layout. I thought it was had a lot of nice features about it, little ins and outs, and it looked fairly easy to work with. So first off, what I did was I uploaded pretty much all my images, all the T-shirts and trucker hats, anything we had that was merchandise. I just uploaded it, and then I decided, all right, which one of these do I want to put as our category icon? And once I had that all in place, I set up the different pages. I laid out which photos were going to go where, added the pricing, did a lot of research basically on Amazon. In the real world, of course, you'd have to figure out what your supply and demand is and all that that we learned in marketing. But in this case, I just did research on Amazon and figured it out from there and got a general idea. I reworked the layout a little bit because the default was a little bit too long, and I changed it from static to fluid, just to kind of give it a little bit more width as opposed to height. Otherwise, it would just be scrolling. I also moved the banner. The banner was originally horizontal. I made it vertical and popped it in there, as you can see, next to the categories and the features. And then finally, I added the store, the company logo, Noir Studios. Just added the little store on the end so it would differentiate it from the actual website, the main website. And now I'm going to pass it on to Anissa, who's going to talk about the graphics that were made for our store.
With each graphic, we decided as a team that we want to create just some trucker hats, some posters, and also some T-shirts, just to keep the merchandise condensed and not have so many things to look around, just because this was our first time doing a e-store. So with that, I decided to go through and get some input from the team. After that, I decided to go on Google just to find some simple templates and to use that I can change the colors on, and I can just basically lay my own design out on those templates. With that, I decided to use every design that the team had created, from the company logo, the show logo, and from the characters, just to lay out on the trucker hats and onto the t-shirt. For the posters, since I never created a poster before, I didn't know what I wanted to do, so I decided to use Kanai's Brady Bunch theme to create a poster and just cover it, and to put our logo, Noir Studios, at the bottom. I researched some designs and some sizes, just so I could make sure that when we print them out, they'll look great onto the cardstock paper. Everything that you see on, as far as the merchandise and on the store, you will see, was created in Photoshop. And with that, I also did the advertisements. I want to take out the word rough because I don't sketch anything. I just go into Photoshop. I basically lay out everything that I want, from the text, from the designs, from any type of textures that I would like to use. I just go in, I'll lay it out, and if I want to change it, I'll change it. So with that, you see 3 different advertisements that I created, and with that, they're all different fonts. I downloaded from DeFont.com. The fonts are Frankenstein, to keep that type of gloomy type of horror film type of style, Snow White, and also Van Helsing. And as for the logo that you see, I did some rough designs. I added in the logo, the ghost logo that you see in the middle, which Kanai had created with the help of me, and we decided to go with a Google font called Robot Condensed from GoogleFonts.com. With that, I decided to place a 50% opacity onto that logo and onto the text, just so when you see it on the background, you'll be able to see that gloomy feel from Kanai's background image to come straight through to the logo. Now I'm going to pass it on to Greg for the cost.
Our costs were fairly minimal. The domain registration was $11.99. That covers us for the whole year. Web hosting, in that case, I already have an account with Bluehost that my portfolio was sitting on, so we didn't have to pay for it, but if we did, it would be $4.95 a month. We also purchased cardstock to print up our posters on, and it was $14.99 for a pack of 250. So some of our successes, our logo design, we brainstormed ideas in week 5 of this first session, and we pretty much had it nailed down by the end of week 6. So we were moving along pretty swiftly in the beginning there. Our character design, again, finalized in early weeks of session 1. We gave the animation a lot more time to really work on it and really do what they had to do, because as Eric mentioned, there is a lot of work and a lot of time spent into making just a 30-second clip. Another success for me personally, this was my first time downloading Joomla. I do use Joomla, but it was the first time I actually downloaded it and set it up and really just got into it and learned how it all worked. We also learned a lot of new software. I know Joe really made huge leaps forward on 3ds Max, things of that nature. And again, I really felt like I also learned a lot about Joomla, more than I did already. And also, we created a unique website. You're going to see in a moment how nice it came out and how interesting it is. And it's definitely a website that I think that kids would really, really enjoy just being on, being a part of. Some of our failures, in the beginning we had a little problem with the merchandise image sizing. They were a little too small to fit into the space provided on our store. We had a lot of dramatic last-minute changes to our website theme. Some of the illustrations had to be redone, as you saw from what Kana pointed out. She basically ended up redoing that whole background image and a lot of the icons that went with it. We also needed, I think, a better understanding of JavaScript. There were a lot of times where there were problems with the code that we were really just banging our head against the wall trying to figure out what's wrong with it. But you know, if anything, I think it also gave us more information on how to deal with JavaScript. We were able to learn how to read it better than we were before, I believe. So it was a success and a failure in a way. We also, because of that JavaScript, we had a few issues with the zooming. We couldn't get it to work properly in certain monitor sizes, but we did in the end get it to do what it was supposed to do. In the future, we had a little more time. We definitely would have gone with a larger selection of designs for the t-shirts, trucker hats, and posters. But we had to keep ourselves limited to make sure we were able to put it all together in the time that we had. Definitely, I know I would have done more styling to the e-store. When you see it, well, you saw the image before, it's very white, it's very gray. I would have added maybe a little more color to it, brought in maybe some color from the main site. The site too, because of the zoom function, we were never able to get it to work in Internet Explorer. What we would have either done is find a way to get it to work in Internet Explorer, or create a separate site for people using IE, so that way they can enjoy the site too. Another thing we would definitely do with more time is maybe add a little more detail to the background image, although the background image really looks great. Kana feels that she could have added even more to it. And now we're going to take you on a walkthrough of our website. I believe first, though, we're going to show you the animation. So I'm going to bring Eric and Joe up to show us the animation.
Okay. This is the animation that we worked on for since week 6 of
Class 1. There were a lot of good and bads with it, but it took a lot of time and effort to do, and took 6 computers and my one dead one to make, so enjoy.
So this is the abandoned warehouse, huh?
Yeah, they say the warehouse in the corner of 9th and Chew has odd paranormal activities at night. There's a strange aura over there.
Yeah, I'll probably go check out what's over there. Ah! Whoa, look out! There it is! Grab it, quick!
That was unexpected.
All right, Chris is going to take you on a walkthrough of our website.
Let's get the show rolling. Alright, so you watch that animation, you do go to our site. This is the first thing you're going to see is the massive, beautiful background image that Kana created. And this is essentially the like I said earlier, the focal point of the website. You can navigate around this image to these objects, which are pinned onto the background image. And here's an example, the shop. From here, you could go to Greg's shop that he's about to show you in a second. Just hit back, should zoom back out, show you the full image again. So if you wanted to learn a little bit more about the show, you can hit the About page, which gives you just a little tidbit explaining the series itself. Hit the back button, hit back. Here would be the guide section. This area houses the episode lists and the character bios if you just wanted to find out logistics about the web series itself. I threw in a little image there on the post-it note you see here just to give the page a little bit more life, almost as if this is something on a wall that the two characters had been writing on and maybe planning things on. I wanted to give it that kind of feel. So from here, you can click on either Nick or Jack to go to the different sections of the guide section. Here you would see the episode list. So I wanted to do something different with this other than just having a bunch of episodes be a listed on the page. I wanted to have something a little bit more interesting than that. So what I had Kenan do was compile these 4 images you have here, which are kind of icons for each episode. Say there's 4 out now. You just hover your mouse over it, and it'll tell you the name of the episode and give you a little tidbit to tell you what that episode might be about. And that works for all 4. Just to give you a little bit more information. And if you want to learn a little bit more about the characters themselves, you can head to the bio page, which just has some portrait shots, both Nick and Jack. Here. Step back. In the footer, I wanted to supply a subnav just to kind of give you an alternative navigation route if you're not exactly sure what each icon might be for, which is understandable. I wanted to have that kind of sense of exploration, so you're kind of wondering where this might go, where that might go, and just to give you something to do. It's a little bit more engaging, I thought. But if you wanted to just go pinpoint to exactly where you needed to go, I had the sub-navigation there, just in case. The Noir Studios logo I threw also in the footer, and if we did have a studio website, that would be the link there. And if you want to contact us, you could head to small contact form we have there. Yeah, that's pretty much the site as it stands right now. So I'm going to hand it over to Greg to show you a little bit more about the store.
Okay, so as I mentioned, we put the store together using Joomla, and I have here the categories. I put that towards the top. You got the T-shirts, hats, posters, then you have featured items. This is one of the things I liked about it, that you could highlight certain things, maybe your best sellers, or maybe even things that weren't selling that well that you might want to try and push. We'll go in here, we'll come back to the new page in a second. So you click on T-shirts, so you decide you want to take a look around and get an idea of what we have. We got the Ghost Rescuers T-shirt, logo T-shirt, the Noir Studios. You decide, all right, you know what, I like this one here. Let's click on this one and see what this one's all about. You go in, and you got a picture of the T-shirt there, and you got a couple of different choices in colors down below. If you click on the T-shirt itself, the image, you can scroll through, and you can see the back, see the front, all different, a couple different visuals. Along the bottom too, I like that it had the description, and then it also allowed you to do it in bullet points. Sometimes when you're dealing with some things in Joomla, they don't allow you that much flexibility. I like the fact that they did. You could really get into the HTML on that. Going back, so if you like, say you decide you like this, you click Add a Cart, and then what happens over here, as you see, it says one item, $13.99, and you can move on to checkout and continue through checking out all the different steps that goes into purchasing online. The other thing I liked about this too is that it had banner ads, and what I did was I had Kenan create a couple of banner ads. You can see right here. Basically, it's featuring what we have for sale, and scrolls through, so you have a nice little moving visual interest to the website. The other thing I like about it too is that when you say, all right, you decide, you know what, oh, this is a nice shirt, let's see what this one's all about. You click on it, brings you right to the shirt, and you can look, check it out and see anything you want to find out about it. You can see that it comes in different colors. You have a lot of different options here. You can even add it to a wish list. It was a really great component. There was so many different parts to this component that you really could get knee deep in there and make something really impressive for nothing, which was like the most important part, most impressive part for me. So that's that is our website and our animation. And I have, sorry, I'm trying to find. Let's just say we're going to ask questions. Anybody have any questions? Anybody? You guys just want to go home and eat. All right, dinner time. All right, well, that was our presentation. We hope you enjoyed it. Thank you very much for your attention, and good night.